3, 2, 1. Welcome to the Brooks and Lexi podcast. Week number 3. We are rolling.
Yeah, we are.
We are on a roll. Got the third one going, and we're so excited to be here again. Thanks again for listening to our podcast. We're having a great time doing it. Hope you're getting some really good information from it, and maybe having fun with it as well. And actually, hopefully, testing out some of the things that we're talking about. Once again, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Brooks and Lexi Podcast. We have an Instagram, Brooks and Lexi. Honestly, if you're listening to this, you probably already follow us on both.
We just like to say our name.
We have to get used to this because this is a new thing. And I just like to say my name.
Okay. Say my name. I'm just kidding.
Say my name. No one is around you.
Anyways.
Here we go. Week number 3. This week we're going to talk about, what are we talking about, Lexi?
Nutrition. We're talking about nutrition, and this is going to be a 3-part series. So the first week is going to kind of talk about like our philosophy, why nutrition is important, how it has become a part of both of our lives and our health journeys, and then why it should be important to you all. The second week is going to be about like myths and, what we're told about cholesterol or salt or any of the fad diets. And the last week will be kind of a call to action, we'll deep dive into some of the trendy diets that we either think that we've either have tried and we say that, they have a lot of benefit, or maybe things to stay away from. So.
I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. So let's get started. So what do you think is, what's your philosophy behind nutrition? Why should people care so much about what they are putting in their body?
So 70% of our immune cells are actually in our gut. And so it is imperative to have a good gut and health throughout your digestive system and all that kind of stuff. So I guess a little bit about my nutrition journey, I would say, is that grew up eating fine. We didn't eat out a ton. We kind of lived in the country, so we couldn't really do that. We made a lot of our own meals. And obviously, though, when you get older and you're involved in sports and all that kind of stuff, convenience becomes a big factor. So every family, especially now, convenience was a thing after dance lessons or gymnastics or whatever. But as far as philosophy, it was not until, this is going to sound bigger than it is, but until I started competing in CrossFit, I didn't understand the value of true good nutrition. And so I was really bad about damaging my body with diets and even pills. I can't believe I just said that. But a lot of bad things. I damaged my body for a long time and had image problems and things like that. And I just would run so that I wouldn't get super overweight, even though I was. I did not have a good relationship with food at all. And so I was always an okay athlete and was average. And I look back and imagine what if I actually cared and took care of myself, that I could have been a better athlete. But anyways, so when I got into CrossFit and started learning more about nutrition, I quickly got certified to be a nutritionist and went down that rabbit hole. And then when I went back to school, I'd mentioned it in the first podcast about taking sports nutrition and performance-based things. And so all that to say, now moving towards a holistic health mindset, realizing that it's not just about looking good or performing in sports well, but also it is the basis of our immune system to have a good nutritional diet, and how we function and how we sleep and all those things are very related and intertwined.
I love it. And so on that last point, there's more that goes into it than your diet. Mm-hmm. And why? So, but what is the ultimate goal with having a good diet and sleeping well? And why is it important for those things to be well aligned with one another?
I think
You know what I mean? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes, I do. I think that we're trying to optimize the human experience, and that sounds really woo-woo, but like,
Tell me more.
but it's true. Like when we feel good, when we're eating well, when our relationships are good, our sleep is good, we have a purpose, and we like what we're doing day to day, we're just better human beings. Then again, we're human, and there are days that suck, but when you have a foundation of things that are unmovable, and I'm going to say spiritually, but also just treating your body as the temple it is, it becomes more optimal rather than just surviving and eating the next cheeseburger. Not that cheeseburgers are bad. I like them. But it becomes a convenience thing of just like, oh, I'm just like surviving. I just have to eat or whatever, versus being intentional about what you're putting in your body is super important. Okay, so what's your philosophy?
Yeah, so thank you for sharing.
You're welcome.
That was wonderful.
Thanks.
My philosophy is it's pretty similar to yours. I was going to start with the reason it's so important is because, first of all, to get spiritual, and if you don't want to go spiritual, I'm going to come back to something that's less spiritual, but also
Let's go there.
for a reason that is just philosophy in general, how to live a good life. You can argue, it's in the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
Like our purpose here on earth is to glorify God.
Oh, yes.
To glorify Him in every action, every thought, every behavior, every step that we take. And a part of that is treating your body, which is a temple of God, the best that you possibly can. And when we are ingesting all these chemicals, whether it's from our skin, whether it's different thoughts, different wavelengths from music that we listen to, or things we watch, or things we drink, or things we touch, anything like that. It all plays a part in our biology, in our human being, and in how we connect to God. And if we're not doing everything we can, and we're never going to be perfect. And honestly, I do love cheeseburgers. And honestly, I miss me some ice cream, but actually I really don't. Because it tastes good, but I know that it's going to make me feel like crap. And I don't care about that anymore. Mm-hmm. And so, but I wasn't always that way. So, and we'll get to that. And so it's important for the most part, I think my philosophy is, you want to glorify God in the best way possible, and that's treating your body with respect. It's consuming the best nutrients. It's consuming quality food with quality people in a relaxed state in order to nourish your body so that you can perform every single day. So that you can not perform every single day. You can be as close to your best every single day. So you can show up, so you can give yourself the best chance to have a great relationship with your spouse, or with your family, or with your friends. You can enjoy life in a fuller experience, and that's more alive and vital and full of joy. And I think
you're a preacher right now. I love it.
Yeah, this is getting me going.
I love it.
This is getting me going because I know. I guess I'll go into my my journey. Yeah, I'll go into my journey. But I know what it's like to suffer from chronic allergies, and you're taking 4 allergy pills a day, and you're still mouth breathing, and you still feel uncomfortable, and you're not comfortable in your own skin. You're walking around high school like it's like everything is scary, or you're just like this weird, you don't feel confident. And is that psychology, or is it what I'm ingesting into my body, that helps. Is that playing a role in in my mindset, in how my body's functioning? And I think it does. I think the food that you eat plays a major role. So for the longest time, I had chronic allergies. I ate cookies pretty much every night. Thank you, Mom and Dad.
We do like cookies.
We do like
They're
cookies.
yummy.
It's better if you make them homemade.
Yes.
Homemade ingredients. Once again, that goes back to the laziness part of the human existence, is we want something quick and easy to make, and not something that's takes time and more nutritious. But that's beside the point. So for the longest time, I was eating just a normal standard American diet, lots of carbs, cookies at night. I would try to eat as many meals throughout the day as I could, protein shakes, blah, 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 blah. Didn't really, I mean, honestly, in high school, I was eating fast food for lunch every day.
What?
Yeah, because we had open campus.
Oh my God.
So Mom would give me a gift, or like a spending card every week, and we'd go to like Sonic or McDonald's every single day. Yeah. So just imagine what kind of toll that took. One, on her bank account, and two, on my body. But so I had chronic inflammation, and it was due to all the sugar I was eating, due to just a lot of processed carbs, processed foods that weren't good for me. And a lot of people can overcome poor diet with really, really good genetics. I know people from when I was playing college football that could eat Slim Chickens, or I guess it wasn't Slims, it was Zaxby's or Popeyes for every single meal. And they would still, I'm not going to say his name, but if you know that, if you're listening, and if you were on the team, this guy was absolutely shredded. We would do this pull down exercise, lat pull down, and all the coaches would gather around and like pretend like they had a microscope, because you could see every muscle fiber firing.
Wow.
Because he had zero fat on his body, and he ate like crap. He ate terribly. And sometimes people can overcome this, but at a certain point, your body's not going to be able to withstand it, and you're not getting the nutrients that your body needs to function well, sustainably for the long term. Maybe
imagine if he did eat well. Like, what would he would be a freak. Like,
the crazy thing is, he was a freak.
Right. But still.
But I know, I agree. And think of all the people now that they don't think that they need to eat quality food. Because they don't have to. But imagine what you could do mentally, physically. Like, you just feel so much better. So anyways, I went through that. I went through a bunch of diets and eventually came across, actually, I'm going to go back. Throughout college, I was carrying I gained a lot of weight. I was exercising multiple times a day, and I never really gained any muscle. My high school coaches would come watch practice, and they'd ask me, like, did you lose weight? I didn't know were you trying to lose weight? And I'm like, no, I'm actually 20 to 30 pounds heavier than I was in high school. But they couldn't tell, because none of it was on my extremities. It was all in my gut, my butt, just in my core. So it wasn't good weight. And my voice is starting to crack a little bit. You want to take over real quick?
Sure. Also, I feel like I always need to say this as a buffer, but like, we're not trying to bash people's life in this. We are trying to educate, though. What are you going to say? You're trying to bash?
We're not trying to bash. And sometimes I come across sometimes I come across as I'm trying to bash your diets, but I'm not. Like, you need to have all the information to make the best decision.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that you're bashing. I just wanted to say to people, because I also can come off like that as well, we're just really passionate about people living their best life. And
That's what
that comes out sometimes extra passionate, and I already have a very passionate voice. And so we just are trying to educate so that people have the information to make good decisions versus just being walking zombies and making decisions off of convenience and, off of what feels good in the moment. Because it's not fun necessarily to cut out things or to choose really healthy foods, because it's like hard sometimes to do that or to cook or to plan or to whatever. And so I just wanted to say that real quick.
Yeah. And it's not, I don't think it needs to be 100% like commitment. And I mean, you need to be, if you're serious about your health and want it to be a sustainable thing, you need to be committed to it. But that doesn't mean you can't have a cake every once in a blue moon.
A whole cake.
Not a whole cake. An entire.
Eat an entire cake.
Wow.
In one sitting.
Wouldn't that be great?
Gross.
Ugh, that sounds terrible.
Moderation.
Moderation in moderation.
Mm-hmm.
What's the quote? It's everything in moderation, including moderation.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a good quote.
Is it including? I don't know if that's the word.
Something like that.
Yeah.
We get the idea.
So there's a book I'm reading called The Primal Blueprint, and we will link that in the show notes.
There you go.
Wow, I've always wanted to say that. We'll link that in the show notes. Primal Blueprint. Also, I'm going to say these other 4, I'm reading 4 books right now.
Probably like 10. But
Probably
we only
10.
have 4 here.
Yeah. These are the important ones. So we have The Paleo Cure by Kresser, The New Primal Blueprint by Mark Sisson, The Carnivore Code by Paul Saladino, and Primal Fat Burner by Nora Gedgaudas. All very incredible books talking about kind of a paleo-ish, more fat. Obviously, the Primal Fat Burner is talking about keto, carnivores too. Where was I going with that? The Paleo Cure talks about the 80-20 principle. Mm-hmm. So 80% of the time, you're eating quality food and it's nutritious and you love it and it's supposed to be fun and you're supposed to enjoy it because it's nourishing to the soul and to the body and you just love it. And then 20% of the time, you're not going to be perfect. And so you can go out with friends and eat a normal, eat some normal pasta with the crew. Pasta linguine, mamma mia. Or, throw down some tequila shots with the crew.
Tequila shots.
Yeah, we're going straight to the shots. Okay. So that's what it's like. It's not about being fully committed.
That's the principle I use with my clients. I don't know if you guys heard that. That's the principle I use with my clients, the 80-20 rule, because you do have to commit. If you're going to make a change, you have to commit to consistency. And you can't have all over the place, like, nutrition principles. You have to, commit, like Brooks was saying, the 80-20 rule, but you don't want to commit so much that you binge later or you quit because it's too hard or whatever. And so 80% of the time you are trying to cultivate better habits, and then the other 20% of the time is to create that balance and that moderation.
Yeah. And the diets that we're going to be speaking about are not really diets. It's more of a lifestyle change. Mm-hmm. And it's not cutting calories. The Primal Blueprint talks about eating as much as you want, eating until you are completely full. Like, not like your stomach is overflowing and you're about to, bust. But when you're full, when you're completely satisfied with your meal, that's when you stop. It's not, I'm counting calories. I have to put it in this little app and decide. And I'm not saying that's the worst thing in the world because sometimes it helps people. But, I think that an intuitive approach to a healthy diet is so important. And so I'm going to go back to kind of my journey and why it made a huge impact on me. So like I was saying, I mean, this is kind of like I was saying, it was, I was carrying a lot of excess weight and really wasn't making progress in the gym. Or in the weight room. I was, one of the highest, I was a pretty strong player. I was lifting in some of the heaviest groups. Obviously, I was starting all 4 years, but I never really made progress, especially in my squats. Like I was never a squatter.
Let's hear your numbers. Just kidding. We don't have to do that if you don't want to.
We can. Do you really want to know my numbers?
No, I'm kidding. I got an eye roll for that. Continue. Not making progress in the squat.
Yeah, so I wasn't making progress, and I was trying to eat healthy. I was eating what I thought to be healthy. I was eating, a big breakfast, protein shake before workouts, protein shake after workouts, big lunch with lots of bread and lettuce and little to no fats. I mean, I probably had peanut butter in my shakes, but that was it. And like no type of avocado or oil or anything like that. And we would get to practice and I would, I'd have a shake before that, maybe some chocolate milk. My stomach, I would always have stomach issues. Without getting into details, like I had stomach issues and it was not fun. It was not a fun time. Even during practice, sometimes maybe the Gatorade or something was disrupting me and it wasn't enjoyable. And after practice, you have to eat food, you have to nourish your body, but I wasn't hungry. And so I would like eat kind of a meal, but it wasn't nourishing. I wasn't like calm and allowing it to digest properly. I was rushing off to the Jones Center to study or to class or whatever it was. And so I just, for some reason, I never really made progress. And then that continued into the NFL. I'd had chronic injuries, like some nagging injuries that just would never go away, such as my Achilles or like turf toe. My allergies were still there. And I mean, I actually have pictures that show you that like there's a huge difference between what I look like now, I'm not going to lie, and what I looked like then. Like it's weird. I mean, I know why, but it's because of the diet, and I was inflamed, and my body was working so hard, and my sleep was terrible. But my body was working so hard to overcome a poor diet, and I thought the exercise would overcome it, but nah, that's not how it works. Even freshman year, I remember I was like, dude, I'm gonna work it off later. I'm gonna have an ice cream for lunch. I'm gonna have a triple burger with bread and fries and maybe we had stir fry. It was bad. It was bad. But that takes me to when I got to Jacksonville. I wanted to try a new diet, so I started intermittent fasting and probably didn't go about it the right way, but for the most part, it reduced my inflammation, which was over a course of 3 weeks, reduced my inflammation. I started losing fat because my body because I was working out while fasting. And so my body was using the fat stores as energy. And I probably wasn't eating enough, even though I thought I was. But I started losing weight. I started feeling good. I eventually was feeling extremely confident about myself. I looked shredded. Not to, no, I did, and I was feeling really good, and that's the best I've ever felt, physically, emotionally, mentally, and that continued, and I got to the spring. I got to spring training camp, and I was doing really well. I was like running with Miles. Jack got hurt actually, so he was our number one mic, and so I was able to bounce in and out of the one group, and I was doing really well. I went to rookie training camp that year as well, and absolutely killed it. So they were feeling really good about me. So I was like making my way. I thought I was going to make it, and then the concussion happened and all that, and so that's kind of what took me out of it. But that's why I've felt what it's like to have reduced inflammation and to feel your body working and functioning at a really high level, because all the cells are communicating and you're giving your body the nutrients it needs to function well and function at a high level and perform your best and feel good and just be happy and joyful and enjoy the work that you're doing. And so that's why I think it's so important for people to pay attention to what they're putting in their body, because we'll talk about this later, all the myths that are out there about cholesterol and salt and all these diets, but there's a lot of false information. And, sometimes we just believe what people have told us for the longest time, and there's no deep research being done. But if you look at specifically these 4 books that are well documented, they have hundreds of thousands of followers on each one of them, that have had incredible results, healing some crazy chronic illnesses that the normal doctors did not think were going to be healed. And if they were going to be healed, it was going to be through very expensive surgeries, lots of medication that would probably leave them even more in a mess than they started with. And I'm not saying those are always the worst case, but I do think that food is medicine. And I mean, you can go back to Aristotle and Socrates and the ancient people, and they all will agree that what you're putting in your body makes a huge difference on what you're doing, on how you live your life, is what I'm trying to say.
I have a couple of things on those things that you touched on. So the first thing is that when you were talking about how like the cells are communicating and all that kind of stuff, when our body, and you may not even feel inflamed because you may not even know what it feels like to not be inflamed. So I'm going to quickly touch on this of like when women are pregnant with their babies, it is very imperative that their nutrition is also optimal, because the way the mother ingests things during a baby's like formation stages over the 9 months of growth, like it changes their DNA, it changes their genetics, and how then when they're birthed into the world, that also changes how they go about their life. So if you don't even know what it feels like to not be inflamed, it may be traced back to years and years. So all that to say, though, on a very like simple explanation, physiological. So all of our fascia, nerves, all that kind of stuff they're connected. And so if on that level there is too much inflammation in the body, those cells and nerves cannot communicate properly. And when there's lack of communication, there is like what you maybe could say is like a traffic jam and things. So there's buildup, there's not as much communication, the signal, like your cylinders are not firing at the optimal rate. And so that's why we keep using the word, like we don't want to have people inflamed, because we want their bodies to communicate properly. That's the first thing. The second thing is, what else was I going to say? One last story. So my mom, I don't mean this as like a weird thing, but my mom just had cancer and she had a major surgery, but the doctors were shocked. She's like in her 60s. Sorry, Mom, if you don't want people to know that. She's in her 60s, and they were absolutely blown away at the healing process of after such a traumatic surgery. Her surgery took 15 hours. And so because years before that, she was just wanting to lose some weight, but we kind of redid her nutrition. And because she redid her nutrition, even at a later age that some people would consider like, oh, I'm old. My mom is not old. She was already primed for a healing process. So it was accelerated because her body had low inflammation and it was already ready to heal whatever traumatic thing was happening to her body. So anyways, all that to say, it's really important what you put in your body. It's really important that you're being conscious of that. And so maybe a few takeaways as we kind of close out is just think about what you're eating. Think about how it makes you feel. Think about, are you eating because of convenience or because you're hungry or because you're full or because you're emotional or you're trying to fill a void of some sort? Just be conscious about all those kind of things, and just by your awareness, those things begin to change.
Yes, I agree. And another point on that, I think I'm going to tell a story. So, I mean, it's not really a story, but I have a friend who has he has suffered from back pain and back injuries ever since he was probably 15. Never really got over them. He got into college and, he was playing football and his back pain turned into leg numbness and he didn't know what it was from. So he went to get surgery on it. They fixed him. And he came back, was feeling better. And then just one day it just came back and his legs became numb and he couldn't play football anymore. And that hurts. He was a phenomenal player. He loved the game and he was going to be great at it. But I don't think, and I'm not a doctor. I don't know what was going on. I don't know what he was putting in his body. And he's not he wasn't like not treating his body well. But if I have a hunch. I have a hunch that there was something that he was eating consistently, whether it was probably sugar, probably sugary drinks, orange juice, some kind of sweets that cause his body to react in a way that, creates inflammation that signals to whatever he's eating to attack it. It's like an autoimmune reaction. And actually in these 4 books, they've shown that through eating a paleo style, primal style diet or carnivore or ketogenic diet, which is pretty much what the paleo primal carnivore deal is, that you can reduce these autoimmune system issues. So I don't know what his, again, I don't know what his deal was. I don't know if that would have cured it, but I think if you are dealing with something like that, it's worth checking out. I mean, why not? Why not see if, there's countless stories. I could tell you, I could flip through every single page pretty much in each of these books and tell you stories about patients that they've healed with a proper diet, that the human body was designed to eat. I mean, literally paleo is because the reason we use paleo is because our ancestors used or ate this diet, when they were roaming the savannas of Africa, trying to fight lions and bring down mammoths, woolly mammoths. They were eating the whole animal, not even just the meat. They were eating the organs and the brain and the eyes and the
It's like sounds scary now.
I know, but that's what they did, and those are the most nutritious foods on the planet, and the Western society has completely banished those from our
So that's weird.
palate. That's weird. So we're not going to do it. I mean, I think I read something where America is the only culture not to adopt organ meats into their cuisine.
Our next business idea is going to open up a restaurant where it only serves organs.
Only organs. Only liver. Doesn't that we're gonna be in business for a long time.
In the dough. I'm just kidding.
Liver, beef tongue. Speaking of, I had chicken liver for breakfast this morning.
Yeah.
I will say it's better than beef liver. I need to try. I haven't had beef liver in a minute, so I'm a little worried. But chicken liver is decent. It's getting better. Chicken heart, that's not bad. That's not as bad. And it's so good for you. Oh my God. Like, all the nutrients. So we'll get into this later, but a lot of the vitamins, I just want to say this because it's on my mind and it needs to come out. So a lot of the vitamins that we take are not getting into our system, and there's not enough of them because they need to be digested with other things for it to go into our system properly. That's why, vehicles. So it needs to be with fat, which is why organ meats are the perfect vitamin. And there's so a lot of us are deficient in vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin K, vitamin E. Those are all fat soluble, and we're not eating fat with those vitamins, which is why we're not able to reap the benefits of having those vitamins. And they're so crucial for so many different things in our body, and we're not getting them in our diet. An easy way for vitamin A, cod liver oil, which is something we used to use a lot, but not anymore. Anyways, I digress. I'm going to stay off that target.
We'll get there later.
We'll get there later. So let's wrap this up. Let's wrap this up. Wrap it up.
That was part one.
That was part one. We want you to live a fantastic life, one that's fun, one that's filled with laughter and joy and silliness and goofiness. I know you do. Yeah, we all do. And energy. We want you to have energy, and through proper nutrition, we believe that that's possible.
Yes.
So
part two coming up.
Part two coming up. We're going to be talking about myths, cholesterol, salt, other fad diets and why they're not sustainable. And we're excited. So we will talk to you soon. Thank you guys for listening. Be sure to leave comments in the YouTube or on Instagram and let us know what you think. And we will talk to you soon.